Which one to start with?
Start whatever you're gonna start with.
All right, let's start with trust. Trust in your relationship. So we all know that trust is just assured real reliance on the character, the ability, and like the strength or truth of something or somebody. It's just being assured that you can trust them that in all those areas. So James was talking about the situation that we had, right? And he brought trust up.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that, because I did this thing, I don't trust him. And I'm like,
I see what you're trying to do.
Okay, but listen. Okay, we can go into it, but
Okay.
I want to talk about the trust though.
You just make sure you listen when it's time for you to listen.
Okay, that's
ahead.
fine. I will. This is how the situation, like that's how it came up. This is where the question came from, or like understanding like trust and what trust is. He said there's two different levels of trust. He used an example of, would I trust Big Dog to go out to the car to get something on my car? I'm like, yeah. And then he said, would you trust him to drive it? I'm like, no, I wouldn't trust him to drive it. He's like, them the two different levels of trust. I understand it first because I'm like, trust is just trust. How can it be two different levels of trust? That gave me a little more insight. So I guess you got the little, the petty trust. The petty trust is when he go out to the car, right? And then you got the, what do you want to call it? The reliance trust or the trust, like the big trust. You said it was, so what are your two? You said it was two phases.
Yeah, I didn't name them.
No, I'm just saying.
I gave you the example.
Right, so but what would you call that trust?
What?
The trust to know that like I wouldn't let him drive my car.
Common sense trust. That nigga don't know how to drive. Straight up.
What would you? Okay. I mean, but yeah, and so I dove a little. I can't even talk. I dove a little deeper, and a lot of times in relationships you lose trust. I don't ever want you to feel like I don't trust you. Like trust was a big thing in our relationship when we first got together, and it was like really hard for me to like let my wall down, and for me to like give him 100% of my trust or 100%, that I trusted him. But trust is so hard to like rebuild in relationships. When somebody when the trust is broken, like you got to understand that, it takes a minute to rebuild that trust. The article I read was for the person who has broken the trust. These are things that helped rebuild the trust in your relationship.
Okay.
You gotta listen without being defensive.
Sure.
That's.
You know what?
This is for the person who has broken the trust.
Our chakras are aligned.
Are they?
I guess. Come on.
Okay, so this is for the person who's broken the trust. Like if you cheated or if you lied or if you did whatever you did, this is for you. Listen without being defensive. Own your actions.
Accountability.
Own your shit. Like if you did it, you did it. And if you want the person to accept that you did it, you got to be open about it. And you can't still be lying about it. And like the proof be in the pudding and you still lying. You got to accept the emotional impact on your spouse. Like you got to expect that. This is James has a problem with this. If we get into I'm really emotional. So if we get into a heated conversation, right? I might cry. And he'd be like, what are you crying for? Because that's how my emotion, that's the emotion I want to let out. I want to cry. That's the emotion. So if y'all having a conversation, you got to let that person be. Let them do whatever emotions they going to do. They might scream. They might mess up your car. They might, do a lot of things. No, just let them be free. No, just play.
You don't want to lose that motherfucker nowhere then. Shit, fuck that.
Give space for expressions of grief. Let them let you know how they're feeling. Give space for that. Let them go through what they're going to go through and then express it to you. And then apologize. If you did something wrong, you're supposed to apologize. I don't care what nobody say. If you do something wrong to somebody, you should apologize. thank you, please, and apologizing is like very important. Then it say make necessary changes.
Yeah.
Of course. And then it says be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient with that person. Let them grieve. Let them do whatever they. I'm not saying stay around forever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying give them time. Just be patient with them, especially if you love somebody.
You know what I'm saying?
And it said don't allow yourself to be rushed. Take your time.
Yeah.
And it said communicate. Give them feedback, regardless of regarding what is helpful and what is not. Explore. Don't take responsibility for someone else's actions. At the same time, explore what, if anything, in the relationship may lead to the betrayal. That's it.